Good afternoon and welcome to the first ever WSBI-ESBG podcast. We call our podcast Exchange. It's a podcast to exchange ideas and get the latest news about the world of savings and retail banks. I'm James Piper and I'm your host. I'm Senior Advisor here at WSBI-ESBG. So for every 2 weeks from Studio 4A at WSBI-ESBG offices in Brussels, we will take a closer look at what's happening at the two associations. And those two associations are driven to help savings and retail banks thrive. This week's stories focus on financial inclusion, a strategic area for WSBI-ESBG in some 80 countries around the world. Joining me will be WSBI Director Ian Radcliffe, who will share with us the latest news on our recent progress towards the UFA 2020 pledge. Following that, we will look at work on the ground by WSBI and its program to make small-scale savings work in Africa. Ian will help set the scene. We're also going to be joined by WSBI Advisory Services, Weselina, Angelow, and Céline Steven, to share with us progress made in Nigeria and Morocco. So let's kick things off with UFA 2020. WSBI had announced on 24 April that progress towards reaching its UFA 2020 commitment took a further leap in 2017. So the latest available data from WSBI point to 234 million new clients as of year-end 2017. And that's from a baseline year of 2014. This is big news for WSBI. And Ian Radcliffe is with us today. He's director here at WSBI. Ian, tell us a little bit more about the data and why we made this progress.
Okay, well, let's just start, first of all, by going back a few steps to the global context. There are, according to the latest Findex data, 1.7 billion people, 1.7 billion adults that are unbanked around the world. In fact, that represents quite an amazing improvement from when they started measuring the number of unbanked people around the world, which was in 2011. The first figures came out showing that there were 2.5 billion people unbanked. In 2014, that had improved to 2 billion. So now it's got to 1.7 billion. That sounds like an improvement of 300 million or so, but in fact it's a bit more than that, because you also have to take into account that there are new people coming into young people coming into the definition of adult. So in fact there were 515 million new accounts opened for, or new adults that joined the ranks of the banked in the period between 2014 and 2017. Now, this figure is significant, not just simply because of bringing people into the formal financial sector, but it's also that there's about the same number of people living on or near the poverty line around the world. It's not all the same, but we can probably say that 80% of the 1.7 billion unbanked are also either poor or very nearly poor. Based on an estimate that WSBI made in an earlier program that we did between 2008 and 2016, which was supported by in a partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, there's a big link between financial inclusion and poverty alleviation. Basically, it means that it helps people to become more economically active. And an area which WSBI has focused specifically on in this area is on savings. It's often been overlooked. There have been many projects and programs focusing on payments. There have been projects and programs focusing on lending. But there are relatively few organisations around the world that are focusing on savings. WSBI stands for World Savings and Retail Banking Institute, so therefore, of course, savings is part of our DNA. And so this is something which is unique, and this is why it's so important for WSBI.
Now, Henrik Aziz was quoted on the 24th of April when we announced our progress. He said that WSBI has nearly met in 2017 their UFA 2020 goal of 1.7 billion customers. That's WSBI members in 80 countries. And that's 400 million new transaction accounts. That was the other stated goal. So it looks like we're really, really close to getting to the 1.7 billion customers and the 400 million new transaction accounts. So what's triggered this progress by WSBI members? I mean, really, other groups envy the progress we've made from what you and I had talked about in the past. And we're just wondering what made it such a success. Is it innovation, digitization? Is it the economies in markets that are allowing folks to pull themselves up and move into the world of banking? Tell us more.
Well, James, I think really what we can say is it's all of the above. But I think there are some things which WSBI have done which have sort of leveraged the efforts of our members around the world. Particularly in 2012, when we had a World Congress, which actually was held in Marrakesh, when our members endorsed a declaration which had as its title "An Account for Everyone." It was the stated effort of WSBI members around the world to increase their efforts to bank the financially excluded, and so there's been a specific role that we've actually played in that as well. We must always remember that pursuing financial inclusion is part of WSBI members' DNA. Ever since the first savings banks were formed, going back to 1810, when the Reverend Henry Duncan founded the first savings bank it was Ruthwell Savings Bank in Scotland, and the values which were instilled from the very beginning, that we are retail institutions, we have large regional presence, and above all, I think a sense of social responsibility has driven the way that our members have always pursued this goal. And so, as you say, we are now at a stage where our members have somewhere just under 1.7 billion customers worldwide. That's quite a lot.
Building on that, I thought it was really important to really get into the definition of being financially included. Some of our listeners may not know what that is. So what does it mean to be banked or financially included? How would you define it?
Okay, well, there are many formal definitions around, but to put it simply, though, I mean the people are able to transact, to save, and fully financially manage their financial lives. And
why is that so important? I mean, this is a very basic question, but why being plugged into the banking system? Why is that something that people need?
Okay, well, I mean, there are different aspects. Obviously, I mean, transactions are part of the basis of how we all live. It's how we go and buy things which enable us to live. When it comes to savings, it goes on a little bit further, because savings, particularly for poor people who have irregular incomes often, it helps to smooth their consumption. It helps them with risk management and financing of various important life goals, such as education, starting a business, and of course quite often we're talking particularly in developing countries regarding health.
Mm-hmm. I see. So rainy day funds to help smooth out the uncertainties of life is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now the last question is, how do these UFA efforts fit into WSBI's overall financial inclusion work?
Well, UFA was announced by President Kim of the World Bank in 2013. So it immediately grabbed us at that time that there was a complete fit with WSBI's values and our programs. And we've been delivering projects and contracts funded by the international community ever since probably since the early 1900s that supported banks' contribution to economic development and poverty alleviation. In 2003, now of course I'm giving you a bit of a history lesson here.
Thank you.
In 2003, WSBI sort of took off in the whole financial access arena with a global conference that we hosted here in Brussels. And we launched a series of publications on this between 2003 and 2008. And in 2008, we were approached by the Gates Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who asked us a simple question. And it was a very challenging one. They said to us, what would it take to double the number of savings accounts for poor people? And that's led to our what was then our flagship program on doubling savings accounts. So therefore it was absolutely logical that WSBI should be among the first wave of strategic partners of the World Bank when they launched their UFA 2020 initiative.
Well, that's a great segue for our next piece. We're going to talk about the MasterCard Foundation WSBI partnership, where we are trying to make small-scale savings work. So, Ian, you're here today also to talk about that partnership and what it means for our listeners and what it means for people in those countries who are affected by it. Before we get there, I just want to say that the UFA 2020 results that WSBI has released are available on our website in a press release. And you can also read the Findex press release just type in Google Findex and you'll be able to find the latest data from Findex. And the UFA 2020 news and what we're doing there is also available on our website as well, so you could search there. So moving on, I think it's a good time to maybe talk about this MasterCard Foundation WSBI partnership to help small-scale savings work. Again, this is about financial inclusion, and I just wanted to give a little bit of background to those who are listening. So, like I said, it's a partnership between WSBI and MasterCard Foundation to help boost financial access and economic development in 6 African countries. So WSBI is really getting involved with this over the past year or so. What has it been, a year and a half or so since we signed?
We signed it in September, or we actually physically started the program in September 2016.
So it's in Africa. It's 7 projects. That's in Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, Senegal, and even Uganda. And the goal is to get 1 million unbanked people actively saving in formal bank accounts. So this is a nuance of financial inclusion, the savings part. So the value of the project, MasterCard Foundation has funded this. From what I understand, it's about $16 million US. And we're going to be doing it from 2016 until 2022. So basically it's a 6-year program to get this done. And of course we're grateful to MasterCard Foundation for funding and supporting that. So Ian, I think now is a good time to ask a little bit more about this program. We talk about it a lot at WSBI. It's on our website. It's on social media. We go out and speak. We're going to be at European Development Days to talk a bit about it. That's coming up at the beginning of June. So tell us a bit more about this program and why it's important for people in the countries it targets.
Well, as we were saying a few moments ago, James, there are about 1.7 billion adults around the world that are unbanked, and that's always a figure to keep firmly in your mind. Now, as you say, we're working under this program in 6 countries. And there are some large populations there, but particularly in Nigeria. But in total, there are about 202 million adults in the 6 countries that we're working in. And of that, just a little over half, 108 million, are unbanked. And if you also compare that with the number of poor people that there are, and I'm talking about poor and those that are near poor, that also exist in those countries, that's almost the same sort of number. So that's really why this program is important, because we're okay. It sounds as though we're only going to put on 1 million new accounts, but there is a very great leverage effect. 1 million, I think, is probably going to be a minimum. I think we'll probably do in practice a great deal more than that. But what we also do is we extract a huge amount of knowledge from the projects that we conduct, which we make available for the public good, so that other actors, particularly from the international community, the World Bank and others, can benefit from that in designing other projects and programs as well.
So the program is rolling. It's been there for about a year and a half now. Now, the banks that are going to benefit from this and the microfinance institutions, tell us the reason. What's the business case for them to take part, and what's in it for them?
1.7 billion people that are unbanked represents a huge business opportunity. Now, interestingly, our estimates are that if the banks could actually potentially double the size of their balance sheets if the unbanked in their countries actually saved the equivalent of just 1 day's household expenditure per month. Now, that is worth thinking about. So that, from a business case perspective, is very, very important. Now, we, some years ago, developed a mantra. Our mantra is usability, affordability, accessibility and sustainability. So in other words, the accounts that our members or the banks that our partner banks open, they have to be usable. Their charging model has to be affordable. It has to be accessible. Obviously, it's no use if you can't get to wherever you need to conduct your transactions. These days, of course, largely that's digital, but nevertheless, people probably still in Africa are largely walking, so if they want to cash in or cash out, then you can't expect people to walk more than a couple of kilometres. But then the final one, sustainability, is all about the business case. Now, achieving sustainability for people who have very, very small amounts to save, we're talking about very, very low value transactions. It's difficult, but it's not impossible. And there is a big elephant in the room, and that is dormancy or inactive accounts. Inactive accounts just represent a drain on costs. And the big challenge for banks everywhere actually is to encourage usage by customers, and that's not always so easy, because it often means there's a big change of culture in the banks towards being product-led, from being product-led institutions to being customer-centric institutions, and that is probably one of the biggest challenges that we face in our programs.
Great. So that's the bank perspective and WSBI's perspective, but what about MasterCard, and what role do the folks at the MasterCard Foundation play? What was in it for them to partner with WSBI?
Well, MasterCard Foundation has been a leading supporter of and funder over the past decade of programs and projects that support financial inclusion. I mean, we're very, very grateful to be working with them, I have to say. And they've been interested in WSBI's activities in this field ever since we first met them in around 2011. And as our previous program, which was funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, drew to a close, they started discussing with us a potential program to scale up some of the projects that we had previously undertaken, and then extend to some new countries in West Africa.
Okay, so right now there are we're targeting countries like I said before. It's Morocco, Senegal, Uganda, Nigeria.
Yeah, shall I go through them?
Well, at least the projects going on so far. Maybe you could just real briefly, because we're going to bring Weselina and Céline in to maybe get a little more detail into a couple of them. But if you want to just touch on a couple, that would be at least good for the listener.
Well, I won't preempt what they're going to say, but in Kenya we're working with our partner bank, Kenya Post Office Savings Bank. In Morocco we're working with Al Bared Bank, which is a well-established post bank there. In Uganda with Postbank Uganda. Yeah. In Nigeria with Lapo Microfinance Bank, and we're just starting to discuss some legal agreements with another bank in Côte d'Ivoire. And also we have some other potential projects with partner banks being explored in Senegal, Nigeria, and probably another one in Côte d'Ivoire as well. I think there's. I won't go through them because I know Weselina and Céline are going to be talking in just a moment, but I'll just touch on Al Barid Bank because that's a really interesting one. I think Al Barid Bank has got a project where they're working to digitize the whole value chain by partnering with fast-moving consumer good companies to digitize the chain from the merchant right the way through to suppliers, right the way back up to the wholesale.
So this could be like food suppliers.
In particular, they'll be working with. I think their first partner is a milk distribution company.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Now, this is a big program, and when it concludes in 2022, we hope it achieves something. So for you, what would you like to see?
Okay,
what does success look like? Maybe is the better question.
Okay, well, as we've been talking already, we've been talking about the business case, and the core goal of the program is to establish the viability for small scale savings. I've always had it's a sort of personal ambition that if we can really crack the business case for small balance savings, then frankly the whole financial exclusion problem will go away. Beyond that, of course, I mean you've mentioned it already. We've got a numerical target to achieve, so I mean that gives a certain sense of focus that we have to achieve something. But beyond that, we've got some learning questions that we've defined and agreed with the MasterCard Foundation on which business models result in sustainable business cases. What are the causes of account inactivity? Does customer centricity lead to customer growth and active customer bases? What sort of innovative approaches are most successful in driving usage? Things like that. And also the other thing is to what extent do different pricing models stimulate demand?
Great. Well, I think it's going to be very important. As we know, Africa is booming. The population is booming.
Absolutely.
It's an enormous continent with enormous riches and enormous potential. And to get on that savings train is going to be very important for people in that region. And coming up next, Weselina Angelow. She's going to be talking to us about what's going on in East Africa when it comes to the partnership between WSBI and MasterCard Foundation to help small-scale savings work. All right, joining us now is Weselina Angelow. So she's with WSBI, and she's handling things on the ground in the English-speaking countries in Africa as part of this partnership with WSBI and MasterCard Foundation to help make small-scale savings work. Weselina, welcome.
Hello, James. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
You're welcome. We're going to just rattle off a few questions and just to get a little bit of understanding of what's going on the ground. And WSBI did announce recently that they are engaged with a company or a group called Lapo. And there's a project going on in Nigeria with Lapo. And we want to learn more about that. So the listeners want to know, what is this project in Nigeria? And what does it mean for people there? So let's talk about that Lapo project. What is the goal of it, and why should folks in Nigeria care about it?
All right. So WSBI has started working with Lapo Microfinance Bank in Nigeria beginning of this year. Mm-hmm. The project we're conducting together with the bank is a project which aims at implementing an incentivized savings product. The product is called My Pickin and I.
My Pickin and I.
My Pickin and I.
All right.
My Pickin is pigeon.
Oh, it's a pigeon. Okay, I didn't know that.
And it stands for boy, girl, kid. So the product targets children and their parents, mothers or fathers. Mm-hmm. The product has been offered through digital channels like agents or through mobile banking channels. And the incentives of the product include an attractive interest rate, free life insurance policy for the account holders, and also access to a Lapo scholarship scheme, which would allow the scholarship holders to access a scholarship offered by Lapo Microfinance Bank.
Very interesting. And tell us, the segments of the population. Who's going to benefit from this? I suspect it's families, but maybe you could add a little more light. Who's going to benefit from this?
So obviously, it has to be a win-win. The bank is going to benefit as well as the customers. The goal of the bank to engage with us in this product is to help grow their customer base. The bank currently has 3 million customers, and the aim is to go up to 7 million clients by 2020. Obviously, we would also love to see deposits mobilized with people who actively use savings. And we want to improve financial inclusion for people at the bottom of the pyramid. And obviously, the bank hopes to improve their visibility through the project. For Nigerians, this is very interesting because there is a big number of unbanked people in the country. So Nigeria has 200 million people, and only 44% hold an account at a financial institution. This was 2014 when the previous Findex data were gathered by the World Bank. The 2017 Findex data show that the access rates in Nigeria have stagnated or even reduced. So we are looking at less than 44% banked people with a formal financial institution. So obviously with this product, Lapo aims to reduce the entry barriers, especially for women, to enter the formal financial system, and also to lower the minimum deposit requirements. So this product allows people to save as low as 200 Nigerian naira on a daily basis. This is roughly 55 US cents, which is a lot lower than most of the banks in Nigeria are offering. It would also provide more proximity to people because Lapo will be using their newly rolled out agent network, which will be closer to people for them to access the service. And obviously, people will have access to a whole product suite. So not just savings, but also insurance and possibly also microloans. So this really aims at improving access to financial services for the whole range of services.
This is something Ian talked about earlier about, what is financial inclusion and the importance of not only getting an account, but maybe getting that pathway into other products like savings. And in this case, you go even further with insurance. So that makes this one special. So the Lapo project for you is a unique one. And I'd like to know a little bit more what you think, what really sticks out that makes this such a unique project.
Well, for us at WSBI, this is a new way of looking at improving access. We have focused on savings account for the past couple of years, now bundling a savings product with another product.
Insurance in this case?
Insurance in this case, exactly, will hopefully help us to improve activity rates for customers, because it is not just about people using or acquiring a savings account. We want people to actively use it. And we think that with a insurance product where people will have to pay a premium on a regular basis, we will improve activity rates of this product.
And that really echoes what Ian said earlier about, getting people to actually use the account, not just get access to an account.
Absolutely. So. And also, if I may add, Lapo stands for Lift Above Poverty Organization. So this is a rather unique organization.
So is it a bank or something else?
It is now a bank. It started as an NGO.
I see.
It became a bank in 2010. So the microfinance arm is a bank, whereas the NGO, still working based on a Grameen model, supporting financial education of their customers, still remains within the overall institution. So there's a double bottom goal, financially including people, but also educating people and guiding them through their management of their finances.
This is really good stuff, and one of the things we look out for at WSBI is projects through a process, and that process is there's due diligence that takes place, there's inviting potential partners to come together and maybe find a way for folks like Lapo and other banks, either WSBI members or non-WSBI members, to take part in this program. So that's really, really good stuff. Now, for you and for WSBI and even for Lapo, what will success look like when 2022 rolls around, and this program wraps up? What do you really see coming?
Right. Well, obviously this entire program is about making small-scale savings work. So we hope to have a better understanding of the profitability and activity drivers for small-scale savings by 2022, when this program is ending. Specifically for Lapo, we want to see that savings are being mobilized massively and captured on a monthly basis. And again, this is linked to monthly premium payments for the insurance component. Lapo itself targets almost 300,000 customers by 2020. Yes, so obviously the main target are women, but not exclusively. So we hope to see 70% of women using this new product, 30% male. And we also hope to see 30% of the new clients being users of this product. So that means that Lapo is also targeting existing customers, offering them this new product. Further, we hope that the revenues for the bank from channel transactions are increasing, and at the same time that the product is affordable enough for people to use it.
Well, there's just such great potential for this project, and it looks like WSBI will be really, really busy in the coming years. And maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how WSBI takes part in enabling or helping Lapo reach their goals.
Right. So obviously we are managing the project here from Brussels, but we have local staff who help us support the implementation of the project. We have a local lead consultant who advises us and the bank on the route to go. The bank receives a budget of roughly $1 million, and this is divided into technical assistance, for marketing initiatives and to improve the communication strategy once the product is piloted.
So technical assistance means we contract people to come in and help them move forward on their marketing and these other areas that you mentioned, correct?
That is right,
Yeah.
but we also support the rollout of the new branding and the development of the communication strategy, and we would also try to bring in trainers in this particular case to help train the agents in how to serve the new customers with this new product. And we have a research component, which is very important for us, as it will allow us to better understand how clients adopt the new product. And it will also hopefully help us to better understand how young people in the country, which is a big share of the population, can better be banked and obviously also use this new product. The support we are providing is obviously just a small share of the whole costs of the project. The main costs are carried by the bank, and we hope that the whole project is breaking even after 3 years. So our funding is just an initial investment, and the initiatives will hopefully be sustainable after 3 years. WSBI also engages in a best practice exchange, so we hope to learn from Lapo. It's not just that Lapo learns from us. We hope to learn from Lapo, and in the next step, we hope that WSBI members can learn from our work with Lapo.
And that includes, especially in that region in Africa, which we mentioned before, has just got enormous potential.
Absolutely.
As we move forward. So, well, that's great. Are we going to learn more about this at the European Development Days? Is that correct? We're going to share some of this information there. Is that right?
Yes, this is absolutely right. So we will be hosting a stand at the European Development Days on the 5th and 6th of June. And we hope to see a lot of people there to provide more information on the program and the project itself. The topic of the European Development Days are linked to women in development, and Lapo is a very good example in how to empower women and push for financial inclusion of women in Nigeria.
Oh, that's great stuff. And well, we look forward to seeing you at the stand at European Development Days. I plan to be there, and some of our other colleagues will be there as well. So look out for us at European Development Days, and good luck with your project in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, James.
Joining us now is Céline Steven, who's in charge of the French-speaking countries for the Making Small-Scale Savings Work program. Again, the program is a partnership between WSBI and the MasterCard Foundation to help boost financial access and economic development. So, Céline, thank you for joining us. Today, we're just going to have a conversation about this project in Morocco with Al Bareed Bank. And I know that in October of last year, we made an announcement that we signed a memorandum of understanding with Al Bareed Bank, which, by the way, is a WSBI member, to go ahead with some very, very, very special work to help get greater financial access and making small-scale savings work in the country. So, Céline, maybe I'll just kind of start things off with, what is this Al Bareed Bank project and what is its goal?
Yes, thank you very much, James, for inviting me. So, Al Bareed Bank in Morocco wants to digitalize the government-to-person, so G2P payments, and develop a mobile payment ecosystem to cover the entire electronic payment value chain, which includes individual customers, merchants, and suppliers. So the specific end-user offer features a package consisting of an e-wallet and a remunerated savings account that can be accessed from the mobile. In addition, Albright Bank will equip the merchant with payment solution if there is a need. And in this way, the beneficiaries of these services will be able to buy essential products from the merchant of commodity goods like milk, sugar, flour, etc. So the selected FMCG, so fast-moving consumer goods, will be tagged with the retail payment module, allowing the merchant to pay for the deliveries electronically.
Thanks for that. I think it's important that we slow that down a little bit. So on the consumer side, what are we actually seeing being provided by ABB? What will consumers receive?
So currently, Albright Bank has a Albright Bank mobile product that they offer to their customer. Which,
so it's like an app on your smartphone?
Yes, on your smartphone, exactly,
Okay.
which enables you to cash in, cash out, and make transfer in an electronic manner. And this wallet is directly linked to your account at Albright Bank. So
that's the consumer side.
So that's the consumer side.
And then the merchant side, they too have an app on their smartphone.
Yes, so they will equip the merchants with a smartphone if they don't have it. They will upload the app, and so the consumer will be able, whenever they go to the grocery store, to pay for the groceries through the app directly, without using any cash.
So what's the benefit of this? Why the push for digital? You know, how is this going to help folks in Morocco?
So the benefits for the customers are clearly security, because they won't use cash anymore, but also it's time saving, it gives proximity, access to financial services, and savings.
Great. Well, that's really all about financial inclusion, getting people not only to have an account but also access to things like a savings account. So that's really interesting. Now, when we talk about all these projects, like the Lapo one that we talked with Weselina, and we have a few others, what makes this ABB project unique for you? What stands out for you?
So Albright Bank is the first one in Morocco to develop such an agency banking solution, because the agency banking regulation was released last year, in the beginning of 2017, and Albright Bank is the first one to develop such a solution. In addition, I believe the concept of including the whole value chain from the fast-moving consumer goods supplier to the final customer is really unique in this case.
That's great. And so when we talk about Albright Bank, I mean, this is a member of WSBI, and they've worked with us on a previous program that we had. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
So they know that these types of projects done by WSBI do reap benefits in the long run. So for this project, what do you see, let's say in 2022, what will that success look like?
Yes, so the objective of the project is to reach 250,000 new customers, and who will benefit from the digital G2P payment system. And at least half of these customers will be opening a savings account at Albright Bank. So by the end of the project, in addition, Albright Bank foresees to equip at least 2,000 new merchants with this payment solution, and the entire value chain with the Albright Bank mobile product.
So this is a big change for merchants in Morocco who are usually cash-oriented, cash-based, going from cash to electronic. That's certainly the case, isn't it?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Good. Well, now WSBI. Now we learned what we're doing with Lapo. Tell us what we at WSBI actually do during this project.
So here, in addition of the fund that we provide, which is similar to Lapo's project, roughly $1 million, we bring a strong technical assistant to implement the project. So we have a local consultant who helped them to initially to develop the project proposal, and now who is helping to implement it.
I see. So it's a partnership not only between us and Albert Reed, but also with experts who go out and help them with technical assistance and helping those at the bank get the job done.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for that. Merci beaucoup, since you're in the French-speaking countries.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks to Ian, Weselina, and Céline for sharing their insights on today's podcast. Really good stuff. I'm James Piper with our technical brains, Alexander Duchamont, signing off until next time. Learn more about WSBI-ESBG on our website, on LinkedIn, or Twitter. Thanks for listening.